huge mistake. Well, and this is the interesting thing that Gardner brings out now, is that's the politics, that's the governmental politics. Where's my drink? Now Gardner discusses the religion. And the religious setting is interesting because during Lehi's upbringing, during his youth, his teenage years and his early 20s and all, Josiah is the one that completely reformed the religion of Israel right during Lehi's lifetime. So that's interesting to note. And the Book of Mormon reflects the pre-Josiah religion. Lehi would not have accepted all of the Reformation that Josiah came about with. And this is so interesting. The ongoing scholarly reconstruction, and this is also interesting, now that the biblical scholarship is coming around, Norman Gottwald, Margaret Barker, several of the other, Mark S. Smith, William G. Dever, Raphael Patai, there have been several scholars that I have, and I've been reading through the years, and I know Gardner's familiar with them. They say the religion as we have it in our Old Testament, what we have in the Old Testament is the rewrite of what the Deuteronomists, Josiah and his group, remember he found the law book in the temple. Scholars are aware that this is our book of Deuteronomy. So it's called the Deuteronomic history and the reformation of the religion. What was had before was wiped out, stamped out, and what we have now in what we read in the Old Testament is the rewritten history. We don't have what they really had, except we have some marvelous hints of that in the Book of Mormon. And I'll be getting to that. So that's basically Gardner through 34 and 35. The worldview that was occurring was replaced and rewritten with a competing view of history. We don't have the original history. Now, the Deuteronomist history emphasis was this: the monarchy, united and divided, stands under the obligation of obedience to the law of Moses. And the northern 10 tribes, Samaria, and the northern tribes, they consistently did not keep the law of Moses, and that was the recognition of why Assyria came and deported them and took them away, because they did not follow the Lord's admonitions in the law of Moses. So, and it's interesting, the Book of Mormon really does emphasize the law of Moses, isn't it? The antagonism of the Deuteronomic history to the Northern Kingdom and the Book of Mormon's affiliation with the Northern Kingdom would suggest at least the possibility that Lehi might resist some of Josiah's reforms which took place when Lehi was either a youth or a young man. It was a cleansing of supposed pagan influence that Josiah got rid of. He got rid of the Asherah out of the temple, which had been there for centuries. He got rid of the high groves and the high places. This was the reform religion, not the actual religion that had been occurring. At the heart of the religion of Israel before Josiah came and cleansed it was the idea of the heavenly council of the gods. Gardner says this on page 37. And that is Lehi's vision that I've explained to you, which I believe has excellent Kabbalistic overtones, but it also has absolutely powerful Israelite overtones also. This is the concept of the Council of the Gods. And Joseph Smith was the first one to bring it back in the 1800s. It's one of his most powerfully confirmed doctrines ever that he ever brought out. It's an astonishing thing. I've done a few videos on that, and I'll do several more, so I'm not going to get into it right now. This council was composed of the sons of God with the High Father El. Yahweh was considered one of those sons of God. Yahweh and his entourage of 12 special angels that shone as bright as the stars of the firmament, while Yahweh himself, of course, was higher and brighter than even the sun. And this is precisely what Lehi saw in that first chapter. That council of the God with the numberless concourses of angels, and then they came down and bade Lehi should read from a book. Well, Lehi's understanding of God, in all probability, included a conception of a council of the gods who were the sons of the Most High God, El. And this is one of the areas that I really, really liked that Gardner caught. Well, let me keep going here because he doesn't quite have it yet. I'm not quite there yet, I should say. For Lehi and his contemporaries, at Lehi's day, El had faded into the background, and Yahweh became the prominent God in the council of the gods. So Lehi, in all probability, would have understood Yahweh to be the God that they worshipped. He would worship Yahweh, but he was aware of the theological concept of the council of the gods. Of course, that's why his vision was the way it was. And it was headed by El as the Father God. Now, one of the most startling understandings to emerge from studies of this earlier period has tremendous importance for our Book of Mormon. And this is so fascinating how Gardner says this, how he notes this. Margaret Barker's The Great Angel examines hundreds of passages from the Jewish, from the Christian, and the Gnostic materials, and she interprets them as Yahweh being identified as the future Messiah and Jesus. In his messianic role, Jesus as the Messiah is equated with Yahweh, the high God in the council of the gods, according to the texts that Margaret Barker analyzes and interprets. These are they who are called the sons of El Elyon, and the sons of El or Elohim, and they are all clearly heavenly beings, and they are called the sons of Yahweh, or the holy ones who are human. This distinction is important for at least two reasons. Yahweh was one of the sons of El Elyon, and Jesus in the Gospels was described as a son of El Elyon, God Most High. In other words, he was described as a heavenly being. Jesus in the Gospels was. Thus, the association narrative has the term Son of the Most High, or the Annunciation narrative, in Luke 1:32. And the demonic recognized his exorcism as the Son of the Most High God in Mark 5:7. Jesus is not called the Son of Yahweh, nor the Son of the Lord, but he is called Lord. The equation is complete, see. We also know that whoever wrote the New Testament translated the name Yahweh by Kyrios, which is Lord, the Greek word for Lord. Deuteronomy 6:5 says, "You shall love Yahweh your God," which is rendered in Luke 10:27 as, "You shall love the Lord your God," Kyrios. This suggests that the Gospel writers, in using the terms Lord and the Son of God Most High, saw Jesus as an angel figure and gave him the version of the sacred name Yahweh. So Jesus is equated with the God Yahweh in the Old Testament here. Barker sees the angels as members of the council of the gods also, and the sons of El, and equates Jesus with an angel, which places him in that council of the gods. So, the name and the identification of Yahweh is complete. And Barker says the pre-reform expectations, now this is the religion before King Josiah, the religion behind Lehi's life. His grandparents and great-grandparents would have had this religion. The theme is the Messiah coming as an atoning Messiah. Now this is pretty big stuff, because the Jews, we understand, in Jesus' day were expecting the militant Messiah. They wanted the Roman yoke overthrown off of them. But the actual expectation was of an atoning Messiah to in addition, between association between Yahweh and Messiah as persons, there is a very specific expectation that the Messiah plays an atonement role. And she says this: the clearest evidence for its survival, the anthropomorphism that is of the God and Messiah, is the widespread tradition of interpreting the word man as references to the Messiah.